Just like Friday.
It's gone! Georgia is headed to the World Series!
We didn't get to that moment without every single one of our players. We got there as a team, and we're going to continue to play as a team.
Just like magic, I'll be flying free.
Two-run home run to the parking lot.
It's a dream come true. All the hard work that my team has put in this year has finally paid off.
They are filing in for what is going to be the best week of softball of the season into ASA Hall of Fame Stadium. 16th seeded Georgia, 8th seeded Florida State, the two teams that will get us kicked off this week here in OKC. A look at the top side of the bracket of the Women's College World Series. Florida State and Georgia will start us off. We'll have another double-digit seed, one of 3 in our second meeting as well. UCLA and Auburn will rematch after a great meeting last year. And with that, we are proud and privileged to bring you to the broadcast booth. Adam Amin, two-time All-American Amanda Scarborough, Laura Rutledge will join us in a moment as well. A year ago, all top 8 seeds advanced, 1 through 8, into the Women's College World Series. And the biggest storyline of this year was the #1 seed Florida Gators trying to make it 3 national championships in a row. But we've got 3 double-digit seeds in this bracket. Amanda, should we be surprised by that at all?
No. From the minute that I saw the bracket, I looked all across the country at every single regional, and I saw parity. And what does parity lead to? Upsets. And that's what we saw at regionals. That's what we saw in super regionals, and that's what I expect here in Oklahoma City.
And we saw it a week ago. Georgia did something that only one other team in the super regional format had ever done, and that is knock off the #1 seed.
0-2. Hit hard to center. Merritt to the warning track. It's gone! Georgia is headed to the World Series in Oklahoma City.
Filled with joy. I can't be more happy for Kaylee Pailoa. I mean, she is all heart, all team, all year. I'm just so proud of her for taking her swing on a good pitch.
Hawaii was the only other seed to knock off the #1 seed. That was back in 2010 when they beat Alabama. And look at this very short list. Georgia trying to join a small list of teams that have eliminated back-to-back champions in the NCAA tournament. 4 of those teams have gone on to win the Women's College World Series. Speaking of rich histories, we've got the Florida State Seminoles. Their history goes a long way back, and usually it goes back in the circle. No surprise, for the 3rd straight year, they have the ACC Pitcher of the Year, but they've also added the ACC Player of the Year as well.
Well, they just continue to dominate in the ACC. They're always up at the top, so it's no surprise that they continue to rack in the awards as well. Jessica Burrows came in for Lacey Waldrop, who pitched before her. Lacey Waldrop groomed Jessica Burrows to be the ACC Pitcher of the Year. And then also Alex Powers, she got the ACC Player of the Year. Don't forget about Lonnie Alameda. She was the Coach of the Year. So this is an ACC team of Florida State that is top-notch and pulled in all the awards.
And Jessica Burrows will get the start in Game 1 of this Women's College World Series. Has been very good in the postseason going back to the ACC tournament. Just 2 earned runs in her last 19-plus innings.
Yeah, she has just emerged as the ace for Florida State, and she just spins the ball so well. That's what she's known for, especially her curveball. She can throw it backdoor. It's in the outside corner to these left-handed hitters, and then also move it away from the right-handed hitters with really good spin, but also change lanes, move it up a little bit. Burrows is a pitcher who likes to spin the ball very hard and induce a lot of fly balls. You'll see that. It's very tough to barrel her up.
It's been a very good staff all year. It's been a very good staff of the NCAA tournament. Just 3 earned runs allowed and 3 shutouts in their 5 games so far. They'll take on a very balanced Georgia offense, and their starting lineup is presented by Capital One. Speed at the top, the Emmanuel sisters with Sydney in right and Courtney in left. Alyssa DiCarlo, the excellent freshman, at third. The nation's leader in homers and RBIs is Tina Josefa at first base. Alex Hugo's at second. Maeve McGuire is the DP. Katie Brown does the catching, batting 7th. Lacey Summerlin is the shortstop, and a very good 9-hitter in Samantha Lazier is in center field. The 35th Women's College World Series. A lot of parity this season. That's been the theme. We've got 8 versus 16 in Game 1. And Burrows deals to Sydney Emmanuel to start off the tournament. And a bunt fouled at the plate, and off we go at 11:04 a.m. Cloudy, a little cooler at 71 degrees here in Oklahoma City. Sydney, an excellent hitter, led the SEC this year, hitting .452. You really like the lineup construction for Georgia. Speed at the top, power in the middle, balance at the bottom.
Just so much balance really all throughout, 1 through 9. Speed, power.
Emmanuel trying to use her speed, but Ellie Cooper makes a good play to retire the speedster at the top of the lineup. There's one down here in the first. Florida State defensively top 55 in the country in fielding percentage. They've only committed 2 errors in their last 10 games. They have won all 10 of those games. On the infield, Warren, Harrod, Cooper, and Powers, with Broderick doing the catching. Here is Courtney Emanuel, and a foul at the box.
See both Sydney and Courtney wasting no time and pulling out the drag, just trying to find a way on. Sydney did it first pitch and ended up fouling it off. So much spin, it's even tough just to lay down a bunt.
Courtney Emanuel, the sophomore, second team All-SEC selection, younger by 16 months from her older sister Sydney. There's a strike, or a ball rather, off the outside edge. And it's 1-1. Leah Bowen calling our balls and strikes today. Mike Bartling is at first, and Chris Drum is the arbiter at third. Popped up on the bunt, and now 2 strikes on Courtney. It's rare for a coach to take 2 teams to the Women's College World Series. We'll have 2 of those coaches in our first 2 games. Clint Myers for Auburn, and Lou Harris-Champer took Southern Miss 2 times to the Women's College World Series at the turn of the century, and now the 3rd time taking the Georgia Bulldogs. Emanuel pops it up and stays alive. Clint Myers, Arizona State, a couple of national titles, and now the head coach at Auburn. Lou Harris-Champer here, and a lot of great names, including Joe Evans, your former head coach in college, and Joyce Compton, had a very good run at multiple schools. Another 1-2. Good at bat here by Courtney Emanuel to stay alive, fouling away 3 straight.
Yeah, Burrow's usually thrown in the low 60s. Sometimes she'll hit the mid 60s, thrown about 64, 65 so far today. But I think that your pitcher and your pitch in the first game in the Women's College World Series, you're a little bit more amped, have a few more miles per hour behind your pitches.
On the ground is short, picked up by Callie Harrod. And the very speedy Emanuel sisters right at the top of this Georgia lineup are retired back-to-back. We talked about lineup construction with Georgia. This is like an American League lineup. You have speed at the top, power in the middle, balance at the bottom, and now you get into the power of this lineup. So you don't want to face the power with runners on base, including Alyssa DiCarlo, who's hit 11 home runs as a freshman this year. Behind that offering at 65, and it's 0-1. SEC all-freshman selection and first team all-SEC in her rookie campaign, having a really rock-solid NCAA tournament. And a chance for a perfect frame for Burrows here in the first. Georgia native from Warner Robins, Houston County High School. Instead of going to Georgia, she wanted to venture away, not too far, only 275 miles separate the campuses. Burrows playing against her home state school and dealing 0-2 to DiCarlo, who sends it down the right field line towards the corner. Gordon at the wall. It's over the fence, but it's ruled a foul ball. Freshman going opposite field, nearly banging one out.
Burrow's just continuing to live on that kind of up and out corner to DiCarlo, through a couple of pitches right in the same spot that were for a strike. Tried to extend the zone, but DiCarlo tried to extend the field.
Man, that did not miss by much.
No.
0-2 delivery. Jammed her on a roll shot to Cooper. And Burrows comes out with a 1-2-3 inning to start the Women's College World Series. So happy you're with us. It's going to be a great week. Game 1 underway here in OKC. 14th meeting between Georgia and Florida State, the first since 2011. And Chelsea Wilkinson has been waiting for this moment a long time, has really battled as a workhorse for the Georgia Bulldogs. Now a senior, leading her team to the Women's College World Series. And let's take a look at how Chelsea plans for success. It's brought to you by Northwestern Mutual.
Well, her bread and butter pitch is her rise ball. That's what she's known for, one of the best in the game. She's able to spin it through the zone. She spins this pitch so tight, it gets some late breaks, gets a lot of swings and misses, and she can extend the zone with it as well as she needs to, but that's not all that she relies on. She can go to her screwball that she can throw a little bit harder, touching 67, 68, throw an off-speed curve and also her normal curve, but just a really good mix that Chelsea Wilkinson showed in that Super Regional against Florida, and that's what got them here.
She'll take on a top 10 scoring offense in the country for Florida State. Their starting lineup presented by Capital One. They've got speed at the top two with Morgan Claveman in center, Ellie Cooper's at second base, Jessica Warren at third. The ACC Player of the Year is in the cleanup spot. Alex Powers, followed by Sydney Broderick behind the plate. Callie Harrod had a good Super Regional. She's at short. Zoe Casas is the designated player. Carson Gordon is in right field. And Alex Kosov, one of 6 lefties in the lineup for Florida State, will bat ninth. Here's one of those 6 lefties right at the top, Morgan Claveman, to lead it off against Chelsea Wilkinson. This is down and away to start off her Women's College World Series debut. Claveman, you want to keep her off the bases if you're a pitcher. She's got 50 stolen bases this year, and Georgia has not been very good at cutting down the running game overall this year. ACC first team selection, just 3 for 14 in the NCAA tournament, but a better than 500 on base clip this year for Claveman. There's a strike in the corner, and it's 1-2.
That screwball that I was talking about, where if she's even touching 70 miles an hour with it, that's the hardest pitch that she'll throw. That screw will move outside of these left-handed hitters and into righties. It's a very good spot, just low and away with that pitch, though.
Down the left field line, falling quickly and down for a base hit. And the speed is aboard for Florida State, trying to get loose and get adjusted. And for more on that, Laura Rutledge has more on FSU.
Adam, I talked to Lonnie Alameda before the game, and she said she was honestly a little concerned about how her team would react to this big environment early on. She was trying to keep them as loose as possible, but thought it might take them a couple of innings to settle in. We've already seen a perfect frame from Jessica Burrows and a hit in this inning. So, Amanda, how are they looking so far?
Well, especially in the circle, Jessica Burrows coming out and setting the tone for them. She's had a little bit of experience here.
Ellie Cooper bunts, picked up by DiCarlo, fires to first, and it's a successful sacrifice to move Claveman into scoring position.
Just wasting no time and being able to execute the bunt is just so important here to be able to get rid of those jitters. I mean, what better way than just to get comfortable, get a runner in scoring position early in this game with the middle of your lineup coming up.
And here is Jessica Warren, another first-team ACC selection this year. Sends one to pretty deep center field. Lazier back to the wall, and it is out of here. A 2-run shot for Warren. The Seminoles have settled in nicely. It's 2-0.
Jessica Warren gets the first pitch that she sees. It's actually a changeup from Chelsea Wilkinson down in the low 50s, and she still is able to sit back on this pitch and drive it over the center field wall. Wow, Jessica Warren.
Here is Alex Powers. So you got 2 runs on the board, and now the ACC Player of the Year gets to come up. Curtain call for Jessica Warren. And a snare by Summerlin, and a twisting throw will not be in time to get Powers. And she's aboard. Infield single for Alex Powers to get on base. Rocky start for Chelsea Wilkinson.
Warren saw the first strike that she liked, and then Powers seeing the first strike that she liked as well. And we're back-to-back hits now for Florida State, and just really good execution, good approach at the plate early in this game against Wilkinson.
Here's Sydney Broderick, and she takes a strike. Broderick, the transfer from BYU, first year at Florida State, taking over as the main catcher. She drives one foul. And Laura and Amanda were just talking about it. How do you settle in? How do the nerves feel? This is Broderick's first trip to the Women's College World Series. A lot of players on a youthful Florida State team. It's their first trip to Oklahoma City. So far, they have settled in quite nicely.
And it's been a while since Georgia has made it here to Oklahoma City, and Florida State was here not that long ago, but it really does make a difference when nobody on your team has set foot out on that field. It's different energy, even though the crowd isn't at full capacity right now. There's still a lot of people here. You feel the energy, you feel just the emotion of the game. And I mean, you're riding a roller coaster from Super Regional, especially for this Georgia team. A few days to recover since they had a Thursday, Friday Super Regional, but still you get out there and it is a totally new experience for you.
Bouncing ball to first, snared by Josefa. Into second goes Powers, and there are two down. Florida State in the NCAA tournament has gotten off to good starts. So far through their 6 games, outscoring opponents 18-3. Trying to find the offense, certainly. That was their 3rd home run of the NCAA tournament after they had 6 in the ACC tournament. Here's Callie Herod. Missed on that one. It got away from Katie Brown. So on to third goes Powers. Be a wild pitch, or a pass ball rather. We'll give Brown a pass ball on that one. And on to third goes Powers, 60 feet away. A chance to limit the damage here for Chelsea Wilkinson, who had been so good in this NCAA tournament, by far the best of her career, to get Georgia to the Women's College World Series, but giving up the 2-run shot to Warren. We're in the bottom of the first. Popped up, Wilkinson's got it, but Florida State has the 2-0 lead after Warren, who's hit the 2nd most home runs in Florida State history, goes yard to get the Seminoles locked in early. Jessica Warren has 38 home runs, only Maddie O'Brien with more in Florida State history, and the Noles on top 2-0. The 35th edition of the NCAA Division I softball tournament, the Women's College World Series presented by Capital One. Game 1 of this week, and Jessica Warren has given the Seminoles a 2-0 lead with her 19th home run of the season, part of one of the top 10 offenses in the country that probably isn't very flashy, but has the lead. Speaking of home runs, here's Tina Josefa, the nation's leader, with 23 this year. Josefa swinging away and fouling one off. 55 career home runs. 23 have come in her senior season, by far her best. And she has set the SEC record for most RBIs in a year.
Can you see these numbers? 23 home runs, 86 RBIs. Are you kidding me? Just goes to show the kind of mindset that Josefa has had in her senior year, and just putting her team first and going up there and relaxing at the plate.
Check swing foul, and it's nothing in shoot. Josefa's numbers have climbed every year she's been at Georgia. Senior out of Linwood, California. Got 3rd team All-American honors yesterday. She sends one deep down the left field line, but foul.
Yeah, Georgia's had one down the right field line that was so close off the bat at DeCarlo, and then Josefa now using every single inch of the left field line, but just a little bit too much foul there.
Really seeing the ball well. I mean, the 7 hits she has in the postseason, 5 have been for extra bases, including 3 home runs. Oh, 2. Josefa still alive, fouling away the first 4 offerings in this at bat.
Seems like Jessica Burrows, too, is throwing a little bit harder on the inside corner to these right-handed hitters, hitting 69, 70 miles an hour even. Throwing hard. And it's difficult to go up there with an approach whenever she's spinning her curveball at about 61, 62 away from you.
There was some of the movement. We've got a great look at it from behind home plate. You can really see the movement, the tail away from the right-hander.
There's that, look at the tight spin on her curveball, and that's definitely a ball she's working from ahead to count, but that spin creates a movement.
We've got a lot of really good spinny pitchers, and that's typically the case when you get to the World Series because the best pitchers usually have tight spin, but Wilkinson, Burrows, Alexis Osorio of Alabama, one of the best rise balls in the country as well. So you're going to see, and I know it's an obvious statement, but you get to this time of year, you're going to see the best pitchers in the country, at least a good fraction of them. Josefa too short, knocked down by Herod, but she's unable to make the play, and Josefa will reach safely to start the second. That'll be an error against Herod, her 11th of the season, the freshman at shortstop.
You know, even on the foul ball from DeCarlo and Josefa, the ball came off the bat very hard, and this is no different. This ground ball to Herod, that's a tough play for the shortstop, and getting a good look at it here. There's so much spin on the Burrows pitches that it created a tough hop for Herod at shortstop.
Tough position to play, Herod with an error. And here is Alex Hugo. Now again, cloudy. It's been raining a lot the last couple of days here in Oklahoma City. The tarp was on the field until about an hour before first pitch today, so not the typical amount of time, not the typical weather, the warmth to try to get the dirt where you want it to be. So it could be a factor as this day goes on. Hugo grounds one to third through the legs of Warren. Josefa stops at second, and Hugo's aboard behind Josefa. Back-to-back errors by this Florida State defense. They'd committed 2 in their last 10 games. They've committed 2 in the first 2 innings.
Georgia trying to get the top of the ball where Burrows usually gets a lot of fly balls. Here they're getting the top of the ball and creating a lot of ground balls and putting pressure on the left side of the defense for Florida State. But again, the ball comes off of the bat very weird with the amount of spin that Burrows puts on her pitches, and the Florida State, you can say their infielders should be used to it. It's just a different atmosphere. It's a different field than what you're used to and that you've ever played at.
I mean, the 99.2% for the fielding percentage in the tournament. They've been so good defensively as of late. But back-to-back errors by the left side of the infield, and now 2 aboard for Maeve McGuire, who had a great super regional in the upset of the #1 seed Gators. Showing bunt. And we'll push one foul up the line at third. McGuire having a career season this year as a junior. Excellent high school player back in the state of Illinois at Bennett Academy. And has become a really viable option as a DP for Georgia this season. On the bunt, she missed the bunt. The runners go. It gets away from Broderick, and both Josefa and Hugo move into scoring position with still nobody out.
This is actually going to be a strike here. And look like Broderick, again, just nobody wants to touch the ball. Can't field it cleanly, and it's almost contagious right now for the Florida State defense.
It's a strike and a pass ball. 0-2 on McGuire. She'll swing away and send it to right center field. Back near the wall, and it's caught by Claveman. Josefa will score on the sacrifice fly. Hugo to third. Georgia cuts the lead in half. But what a play by Claveman out in center field to save a run at the least.
Claveman goes back on this ball off the bat. I thought that it had a chance to get a full 220 and get out of the yard. Instead, she's going to be a sacrifice fly, but Claveman goes back up against the wall, maybe hurting her ankle whenever she went up against it. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Remember, she loves to use speed, but it's a big RBI and a big comeback run right there for Georgia.
And here's Katie Brown. The 7-hitter in the UGA lineup has a chance to tie the game with a base hit here. Another senior who only had one hit in the Super Regional against the Florida Gators, but it was a big one. It was a home run in the clincher in Game 2. Ground ball towards third and foul. And this is the catch that Claveman makes, and this is what you were talking about, that maybe the ankle kind of hit the bottom of the wall and maybe a weird spot.
Yeah, her left ankle, it looked like whenever it went up against the wall, just rolled over.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I think she's okay.
And remember, the biggest weapon that Claveman brings to the table is her speed.
Yep.
The 50 stolen bases this season, plus the range she brings as a center fielder, so necessary for a successful defense. See how that affects her, if at all, going forward. 2 balls and a strike on Katie Brown. 3 balls and a strike.
And Burroughs had really been pounding the strike zone too. At one point, I think she had either 16 or 18 strikes and 2 balls. And Georgia coming out swinging, being aggressive. We're seeing both teams do that for Florida State and for Georgia.
15 of her first 16 pitches were strikes. 3-1. Brown skies one down the left field line. Tough play for Kossoff. Makes the catch. Off from third is Hugo. The throw is cut off, and Georgia comes back to tie it here in the second.
You know, it's like Georgia hit the ground balls whenever they needed to hit the ground balls and just get runners on, but then they can also have these swings where they show a lot of power and good execution and get the ball deep into the outfield to score 2 runners now from third base. Not real sure why Jessica Warren would cut that. At least just give it a chance to get to the plate.
Here's Lacey Summerlin with the bases empty. Waving and missing. Both runs in this inning are unearned. Both Josefa and Hugo reached via the errors. Summerlin, a World Series debut. Excellent freshman season for the Alabama native. Quickly down to the count, 0-2 against Burroughs. Bit of a rough postseason. Just 2 for 17, but one of those hits is a home run.
You know, Burroughs' curveball is a pitch that she usually gets a lot of swings and misses on because of the spin and movement, but so far in this game, only 1 swing and miss from the Georgia hitters off that pitch.
And it feels like, just from the outside looking in, that it's starting really outside and ending up way outside. Nobody's swinging at it. Chopper foul.
I think, too, that we're actually seeing the same thing from Wilkinson as well. Usually a pitcher that gets a lot of swings and misses, but it is the first game of the Women's College World Series. Everything is going to feel a little bit different for both of these pitchers to settle in just a little bit.
To third. Warren ends the inning, but one of those 2 errors belongs to Warren. Georgia comes back to score a couple of unearned runs. We're tied through an inning and a half here in Oklahoma City. Game 1.
And when Georgia head coach Lou Harris-Champer called Chelsea Wilkinson to tell her that Rachel Fico would be her new pitching coach, Chelsea said it was one of the best days of her life. And Chelsea had watched Rachel pitch at LSU when Chelsea was still in high school. She actually ended up pitching against her when she was a freshman, and she really idolized her, watched film on her, wanted to model her game after Rachel, and having her as her coach has been such a help. Now, granted, Rachel has brought some mechanical things to the table, one of them being teaching her how to throw her changeup a little differently, more with her fingers, flicking it there as opposed to flicking it with her wrist. But the biggest difference has been the mentality that Fico has brought to Wilkinson in the circle, giving her confidence and giving her focus, and we've seen that come into play for this postseason, you guys.
Rachel Fico, an outstanding pitcher, as you saw at LSU. Lou Harris-Champer would watch tape with Chelsea Wilkinson of Rachel Fico and say, hey, you do that like Rachel Fico does. Zoe Casas leads off the Florida State second.
And Wilkinson just has so much respect for Fico because she sat there, she watched her compete, even on this very field for LSU. And I mean, even the fact that she got to break down film of Wilkinson next to Fico and see herself almost next to her idol, and now she's playing for her, she's coaching her.
Casas will pop it up. The third baseman, DeCarlo, puts it away. Talk to me about pitch grips with Chelsea Wilkinson. You've seen some unique things from her.
Yeah, she has some really special ones where she actually takes her thumb off the ball. And that's also something, too, that Fico did as well. That's something that she saw in film, and Fico had a lot of different speed changes, too. So a lot of similarities between Wilkinson and Fico, but just Fico and Wilkinson have such a tight-knit relationship, and I think that it's shown with the way that Wilkinson has stepped up in her senior year.
Gordon stands in and takes ball one. Second team All-ACC. As a freshman out of Palmetto Bay. Ground foul, and it's 1-1.
One of the biggest things with Fico working with Wilkinson is that Chelsea told me that she's not trying to change me, she's just trying to tweak me a little bit. And I think that that's so important in a relationship, that a pitching coach doesn't go in and try to totally mix with somebody's mechanics. As you've had those mechanics since you were 8, 9 years old, and you trust those mechanics, tweak them a little bit. And that in itself, I think, has just created that trust with Fico and pitch calling and their time spent in the bullpen together.
Fico, a two-time All-American at LSU, won 75 games in her career. Pitching coach for a really good South Alabama team last year. Was a volunteer under Beth Torina the year before at LSU. Doing a great job at Georgia. Towards left field and down for a base hit. Gordon is aboard. Chelsea actually talked to us about her pitch grips.
Hi, I'm Chelsea Wilkinson, and I'm going to show you my grips. So this is my rise ball grip. I don't use my thumb because it helps me get under it a little bit more, and I also pack it in my palm, which makes it off speed. And I also throw my slow curve like this also. This is my drop ball and my changeup. It's more not on my palm, which makes it harder, and I use my fingertips to flip when I use my changeup.
Good stuff from Chelsea. There's Alex Kossoff showing bunt. And there's strike number one. What did you see when she was showing that to us?
I just think it's so interesting that she does take her thumb off of the ball, and that's something that helps her spin the ball more with her, I guess her, I don't know, her real fingers and not her thumb finger. But like she said, she can get underneath the ball to create that backspin for a rise ball.
Caught by Hugo. Kossoff retired. Gordon stays at first base. And they're 2 down. Chelsea this year, we said, has by far had her best season at Georgia. And you talked to me about this earlier in the season when we got a chance to see her. Doesn't seem like she's given up as many home runs. That is absolutely the case, almost cut in half. But did allow that 2-run home run in the first. The home run rate had gone down all year there. There's Claveman showing bunt. Picked up by DeCarlo, throws to first, collision with Josefa, and she's ruled safe by first base umpire Mike Bartling. Boy, Claveman is getting beat around by the wall in center field, and now by the wall that is Tina Josefa at first.
I mean, I guess her ankle feels okay if she's able to lay down a bunt and use her speed to beat it out. But it was a throw that pulled Josefa up the line that caused this collision right here of Claveman and Josefa.
And the throw pulled her off the line. And I believe Mike Bartling ruled that when Josefa had possession of the ball, that the foot was off the bag, and I would imagine that's what Lou Harris-Champer is going to go out and talk with Bartling about here.
It all happened so fast, too, especially with the way that Josefa was moving across the bag. It was hard to tell if her foot did stay on there, and then also if maybe her glove got down on Claveman's back whenever she was coming through.
Again, we get the slow-mo look at it. Looks like she's snow-cone. It's tough to tell when the foot came off the bag. And it's so difficult to tell when the ball's at the edge of the glove like that. When do you have possession of that? That's what the umpire is looking for. And then he's thinking, well, is the foot still on the bag by the time possession is lost? Yeah.
I think that's about as close as you can get to the actual definition of possession if her foot was actually, or her toes were actually touching the first base bag.
And that's a strict judgment call. And Lou Harris-Champer probably asked Mike Bartling, hey, can you ask Leah Bowen, can you ask Chris Drum if they had a better look at it? But it will be an error against DeCarlo, the third baseman, on the throw that pulled Josefa. And Claveman is aboard with 2 outs to extend the inning to Ellie Cooper. Sacrifice her first time up. Pops it up. Brown with the mask off near the mesh. Makes the catch, and the inning is over. Wilkinson works around the hit and the error. 9-1-2 for Georgia. Very good trio coming up. Samantha Lazier in the 9 spot. A lot of speed coming up for UGA. And a strike to Lazier, who is a .348 lifetime hitter. Almost the perfect type of hitter to have in the 9 spot, almost like another leadoff. Having a great year this year as a senior. Waves and misses on that late bunt attempt, though, and it's 0-2.
Yeah, when the bottom of this order gets going with Lazier and then turns it over to more speed on deck with Sydney Emanuel, then followed by Courtney Emanuel, it's tough for defenses to go up against. All left-handed, all running through the box, all use the short game.
Pokes that one to stay alive. I was thinking about something you said earlier. Both pitchers, I know in that second inning Burrows was a little off, but both pitchers really going after the strike zone so far. Burrows 8 of 9 first pitch strikes. Wilkinson had a really good inning last frame, pounding the zone. Little poke job into short center, over the glove of the diving shortstop Herod. Claveman comes all the way in from center field to back the play up, and Lazier's aboard.
Now, Herod and Warren, the left side of the infield for Florida State, had to be pulled in so tight, respecting the fact that Lazier could just use more of a soft slap and use her speed, but here she just burns him with a fly ball, just has eyes on it.
And how bad did Herod want to make up for the error in the last inning when you're full out for that? There's Sydney Emanuel, and strike one. Sydney transferred in from Texas Tech before last season. And a dynamic freshman season for the Red Raiders before coming to Georgia, being with her sister now. Pushes the bunt. Burrows can't make the play. Burrows was trailing off to the third base side, had to come back to the first base side of the circle, and Sydney Emanuel beats it out. 9-1 are aboard.
Well, a big part is the fact that Alex Powers is playing back, and then as soon as Emanuel squares around to show bunt, she just doesn't leave her spot. She anchors back and leaves the entire line wide open, almost moving towards first base before she even put it down. Not sure if that's a call play. They think that Burrows is athletic enough to be able to field that side of the line, but Powers didn't want anything to do with that bunt and open it up for Emanuel to use her speed and have 2 runners on for Georgia.
So 2 on, nobody out. Sydney Emanuel is aboard, and for more, we check in with Laura.
Adam, speed for her is natural for Sydney Emanuel, but instincts play a big part too. But she also says preparation's big. She watches a lot of video on teams and looks to see if a pitcher maybe doesn't field their position as well. Maybe the catcher is throwing slower. There's someone who might not cover the bag as often. If so, she will key in on that and try to highlight that and make them play into her strengths, exploiting their weaknesses.
And I think that's exactly what she just did right there. Had a good defensive read for the right side, and actually, I think that we're going to actually see a pitching change here with the freshman Megan King coming in.
The lefty freshman is going to come into the game. Early hook for Jessica Burrows, the ACC Pitcher of the Year. Lonnie Alameda is going to take out Burrows and bring in King with 2 on and nobody out here in the third. Tie game. Lonnie Alameda is not afraid to go to a redshirt freshman in the postseason. She's doing it again. This is the 9th postseason game for Florida State going back to the ACC tournament. Megan King is appearing for the 8th time, and she has been really good in her first postseason as a college softball player.
Well, they say she has a bulldog mentality, and what more or bigger time do you need it right now than come into your first Women's College World Series, the runner in scoring position.
To face Courtney Emanuel, who bunts one foul up the line at first. 5-0 so far with a save. That was the final out of game 1 of the Super Regional against Utah. Only 5 earned runs in those 35 1/3. 26 strikeouts during that stretch as well. Her pitches get outs from her defense. And it's popped up by Courtney Emanuel, who spikes the bat after out number 1. Big out to get for Megan King coming on.
absolutely huge. That's what you want to do. You want to pop up, especially somebody with speed like Courtney Emanuel. You want her to pop the ball up for an easy fly ball for your catcher right there to come away with.
First pitch swinging to Carlo, fouls one. One thing you cannot say about the Emanuel sisters is that they don't have passion. I mean, you saw the frustration level from Courtney when she popped out a moment ago. Back up the middle into center field. Claveman gets to it. Around third, Lazier. It's dropped by Claveman. A run scores, and the Georgia Bulldogs, after trailing 2-0, have come back to take the lead.
Alyssa DiCarlo just has such good hands. I mean, she can take the ball to the right side of the field, and she can drive it back up the middle when she needs to, too. Her freshman year just really proving herself, driving this ball right back up the middle, and it was the misplay right there by Claveman. Not sure if she would have had to play with the speed of Lazier, but still not quite looking sharp on defense for the Florida State Seminoles.
And here is Josefa. That was coming up and in, and Josefa was already committed to swinging. Fouls it at the plate. It's a single and an RBI for DiCarlo. The error by Claveman, already the third for Florida State's defense, allows Sydney Emanuel to take third base. Josefa, double play candidate. Facing a pitcher that gets outs from her defense, as we said, in Megan King. But she rips it back up the middle into center field, and it's 4-2 Georgia. Tina Josefa, the nation's leader in RBIs, has number 87 on her season.
Kind of an inside out swing. This pitch is trying to make its way to the inside corner. Josefa keeps her hands inside that ball and drives it right back at King. DiCarlo and Josefa using the middle of the field, and it just seems like when Georgia hitters come up with a runner at third base, they're prepared, they're locked in, they're wanting to score that runner.
One of the best teams in the country in terms of hitting with runners in scoring position. 367 on the year is Lou Harris Chambers Club. Josefa has given the Dogs a 2-run lead. Don't forget that later on tonight, Game 1 of the NBA Finals over on ABC, 8:30 Eastern Time. NBA Countdown starts it up. You can watch it on ABC, on Watch ESPN, and the ESPN app as well. From the Bay Area, rematch of last year's NBA Finals. Here's Hugo. And she takes outside for ball one. What a ridiculous Game 7. Won by the Golden State Warriors. Cavs got pushed by the Toronto Raptors. It's going to be a great NBA Finals series, which starts tonight on ABC. 1-1 on Alex Hugo, who is not having the type of season that we have become accustomed to seeing from Hugo. Power numbers way down for one of the best home run hitters in the country. Late bunt show, and she fouls it at the plate. It's 1-2.
Yeah, that's one thing that Coach Lou Harris Champer talked about with Josefa and Hugo, that even when they don't necessarily get their personal outcomes, they have still been amazing senior leaders for this Georgia team. Josefa, of course, is putting up the big average, the big RBIs and home runs. Hugo not so much, but still been a leader with passion.
Big cut, 2 down. A home run-like swing from Hugo. King gets a crucial second out here in the third.
King moving this pitch up and away from Hugo, getting a big swing out of Hugo and getting her to chase. See, it's a little bit off the plate and a little bit up. It's a good pitch by the freshman.
McGuire takes a strike. Sacrifice fly and a 2-run second for her. King is stepping in for the first time in the Women's College World Series. 2 years ago, she redshirted, or I should say, she was a redshirt last year watching in the Super Regionals, was watching from home when this Florida State team was in the Women's College World Series last, replacing the ACC Pitcher of the Year, Jessica Burrows, in this inning. In there for called strike 3. McGuire goes down looking. King with back-to-back strikeouts to end the third, but the Bulldogs have taken a 4-2 lead. Can Florida State rally back? Jessica Warren, who hit the 2-run shot to give the Noles the first inning advantage, will lead it off. The heart of the order is coming up for Florida State.
Now it's time for Pick You Up Moment of the Game, brought to you by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. It's the Jessica Warren change-up home run to center field for the first runs of the Women's College World Series, put on the board right there. Nothing but smiles as her team gained the lead. She got the lead for her team and her pitcher in the circle, Jessica Burrows, at the time. Due up again in this inning.
Georgia has scored twice in the second, twice in the third since. It'll be the heart of the order for Florida State. Warren, Powers, and Broderick, 3, 4, and 5 against Chelsea Wilkinson. First pitch swinging, just as she did in her first at bat. And she fouls one at the plate. Now on a 12-game hit streak, Jessica Warren. Florida State's hottest hitter coming into the Women's College World Series. "19 home runs as a freshman, 19 more as a sophomore." Step right into this lineup, a lineup that's not necessarily known traditionally for big home run numbers, and has become already the second best power hitter in Florida State history behind Maddie O'Brien. O'Brien hit 55 in her excellent Florida State career. Warren's already got 38. She's a sophomore.
You can tell that when Jessica Warren gets into the box, she's pretty far off of the plate, has a lot of room on the inside corner, and she does that on purpose no matter which pitcher that she's facing, because she has enough confidence to reach the outside pitch. And then she says that when a pitcher does throw her inside, it's basically right down the middle for her.
Yep.
And Wilkinson is a pitcher who likes to work the inside corner to right-handed hitters, and Jessica Warren studies pitchers, just goes through film and does her own spray charts and does her own studies, and knows that Wilkinson is a pitcher who does like to use the inside corner.
That stance in the box, that location of her stance, basically, I would think, allows the barrel to get to the ball. If it's middle in, she's getting the barrel on the ball, and she's probably going to get a good chunk of it.
Even if it's middle, just a little bit off the plate, it's still, or inside and just a little bit off the plate, it still feels like it's down the middle to Jessica Warren.
Who sends it to center for Lazier. Wilkinson works around her first 3-ball count of the day to get out number 1.
I mean, she just loved, Wilkinson did, to work the inside corner to Warren. Even though she is standing so far off the plate, Warren goes up there swinging. Wilkinson, knowing that Warren is standing so far off the plate, knows she has to go far in if she does go in. Misses a pitch there, but then gets the out pitch with her rise ball a little bit away from her in the box.
Here's Alex Powers. First pitch swinging, fouling it away. I mean, you didn't see a single pitch middle out against Warren in that last at bat. Wilkinson continues to attack the strike zone for the most part in this game. Ball to strike on Powers.
But you'd like that pitch right there up and in to a left-handed hitter because of the way that she's really been working the other side of the plate so much,
right,
at least to righties. But you got to be able to throw both sides of the plate and at least show that up and in pitch to open up the outside corner.
You guys call that arm side. Obviously a right-handed pitcher. Arm side for her is inside to righties, outside to lefties. But the best pitchers are the ones who can go across the plate, not be afraid to go across the plate and challenge hitters as well. Powers, first team All-American. Her 59 RBIs is 3rd all-time in a single season in Florida State history, behind the aforementioned Maddie O'Brien, and the girl who hits in front of her, Jessica Warren. Skied in the left. Courtney Emanuel's there for out number 2.
See, after that home run, it seems like Wilkinson has been able to settle in a little bit, giving up a few hits after that, but pretty solid.
The last 6 outs that Wilkinson has recorded have all been through the air. It's something you probably need to do against especially a speedy team like Florida State. There's Broderick. I imagine the approach has to be a little bit different with a team that has as much speed as Florida State does.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to pop them up, make some easy fly ball outs for your infield and outfield.
Ball and a strike from Wilkinson. Taylorsville, North Carolina, second team All-SEC selection. 96 career victories for Wilkinson. The Sheridan Hawkins of Oregon, who closed her career last week in the Super Regionals and their losses to UCLA, has more victories among active players. Hawkins closes her excellent Oregon career with 108 wins. Deep drive center field. Lazier back at the wall, leaps up to make the catch. Closes out the first 1-2-3 Wilkinson inning. Big smile for Chelsea as Lazier made that play a little more exciting than her pitcher wanted it to be. But a 4-2 lead for the Georgia Bulldogs. We'll talk with the ACC Coach of the Year, Lonnie Alameda, on the other side.
And Jessica Warren with the 2-run home run to get it started. How was she able to hit that changeup out of here?
I think she was kind of looking for something a little off speed, and just getting her swing off, and probably a little adrenaline too, first at bat. So, but good to get on the board early for us.
Only 2 errors in the last 10 games for this team coming in, 3 so far today. What are you seeing from your team in the field?
I would say, jitters, probably a little bit of nerves, but they're okay. I mean, we're young on the left side. We've kind of talked about that. We just got to settle in and keep getting some good swings off, which we're doing really good right now. And it's going to be a dogfight,
All right, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Adam?
Yeah, Laura, the errors you guys were talking about, 2 errors in the second inning leading to 2 unearned runs, one by Herod at short, one by Warren at third. Both of those runners would come in to score. The pass ball helped out that cause with a couple of sac flies. And Claveman, just a little miscue. This eventually didn't come back to hurt him, but that did allow a runner to take an extra 60 feet. So uncharacteristic stuff we've seen from Florida State in the field.
Yeah, we have, and that's exactly what I think that you'll see sometimes on this field here in the Women's College World Series, as uncharacteristic mistakes because of the amount of pressure and jitters that Coach Alameda talked about. I mean, this is a young Florida State team, like 11 freshmen on the roster for them.
They were one of 2 teams in the country to start 5 freshmen in a game this year. Winthrop was the only other team. Florida State was the other to start 5 freshmen in a game. Bottom of the Georgia order starts with the 7-hitter Katie Brown, who had one of those sac flies in the second. Bulldogs came back with a couple of RBIs in the third from the middle of their order to take the lead.
They remind me a lot of Oklahoma, actually, with their youth and
Florida State?
Yes.
And maybe a team that doesn't wow you offensively, but still puts up the runs.
Yeah, a lot of youth on the infield, too, for them.
Yep. Popped up for Cooper. The Women's College World Series continues with the championship finals starting on Monday, 8 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. For more information on the 2016 Women's College World Series, you can log on to NCAA.com, the official online home for all 90 NCAA championships. Here's Lacey Summerlin. Close pitch, but off the plate. Ground out back in the second. And ended that 2-run frame. Summerlin stepping right in. You were talking about youth, Amanda, and Georgia's got a little bit of it too, especially on their left side of the infield. Alyssa DiCarlo comes into third base. Lacey Summerlin comes into shortstop, replacing 2 really good players, Anna Swafford and Paige Wilson. you see those growing pains. Double-digit errors for 2 players on the left side of the infield for Florida State. Double-digit errors for 2 players on the left side for Georgia as well. Megan King dealing 2-2. Foul away.
You're just continuing to work the outside corner to Summerlin. And seems like when she got those strikeouts for Hugo and then McGuire, back-to-back strikeouts to end the inning, it just really started to take a deep breath and settle into the circle.
A step in relief last inning. Gets another strikeout. He has fanned 3 of the last 4 hitters, and there are 2 down here in the 4th.
And she's made an adjustment too with not using her drop ball as much, but going more up in the zone to these Georgia hitters and getting some swings and misses. Almost looked like they were more prepared for her down movement with her drop ball than her up pitch. Getting a swing and miss right there with the rise.
Here's Lazier, pushes a bunt. The third baseman Warren coming all the way across the diamond. Ends up kicking it out to right field, and it's backed up by Gordon. Beautiful bunt. And we've seen a couple of those in this game from the Bulldogs. This one from Lazier.
Well, you're going to see the exact same thing here with Alex Powers, and then you have your Ellie Cooper, your second baseman right there, and there's just not going to be any movement when she squares around to bunt, assuming that Powers is going to anchor back and cover first base. But that's exactly what Sydney Emanuel did with her bunt, and you got speed 9-1-2. Lazier, Emanuel. That's when they hit you with speed.
You said it before, and it's worth reiterating. This lineup for Georgia, which comes in top 20 in the country in scoring, but a number that maybe isn't going to blow anybody away at 6.5 runs per game. This offense is at its best when Lazier and then the Emanuel sisters get on base, and then you have the power with DiCarlo and Josefa and Hugo and McGuire, maybe even Brown going down to the 7th spot. When you have those players coming up with runners on base.
Yeah, if there were only one Emanuel sister in the lineup, then Lazier could actually hit leadoff or number 2 in the lineup.
And she's basically another leadoff hitter. Basically, you have 3 leadoff hitters in this lineup. Here is Sydney Emanuel at the top of the order. Late bunt up the first baseline and foul. The skill of their late bunts is really impressive. Tough to control, I would think. With such good spin pitchers you're facing, late bunts, they still seemingly put them in good spots.
Oh, I think that would have been devastating if Sydney would have been able to lay it down the first baseline again. And you notice, too, that not only is Alex Powers anchored back, but Megan King, the pitcher in the circle, she's anchored back as well.
Yeah.
Jessica Warren is covering all of that territory.
Sydney pops it up. Warren has to cover a lot of ground to get over to the sidewall and make the catch. That'll end the inning here in the top half of the 4th. Boy, Jessica Warren is getting a workout today. She's able to close out the top half of the 4th inning.
She's been tested, but she's resilient defensively and offensively, sticking with this to get out of the inning. Tough on the bunts, but she'll catch the pop fly.
How did you see Chelsea Wilkinson respond after giving up the 2-run homer?
Oh, I thought she really just did a good job, stayed within herself, and just out there mixing speeds and mixing locations.
What is your team doing to put some pressure on their defense and push runs across?
I think we're just really working our plan and just doing what we do, not necessarily focusing on what they're doing. Other than the slappers, they're doing a great job reading the defense.
All right, thanks.
All right, thank you.
Adam?
Laura, you guys were talking about it a little bit, the bounce back. So the first 4 batters, you get 3 hits, 2 runs, and a lot of low line drives or infield singles, stuff on the ground, towards the ground. The last 10 batters, it's been pop up and fly ball out and pop up. That's what Wilkinson wants with that rise ball. There's Callie Herron.
Yeah, I think that's definitely what she's known for, and it makes it easier on her defense too. But I think that you just can't forget that this is the biggest stage in college softball, and the first time that Chelsea Wilkinson is stepping into that circle, and you're going to have some nerves. And of course, you've seen her be able to settle in, and the same thing with Megan King as well on the other side.
Sure. How long do you think it took you? An inning, 2 innings when you first pitched here?
I would say an inning and then a little bit of the second.
Okay. Gotcha.
Just to get at least 2 under your belt makes a huge difference.
foul ball in the box. You pitched here in 2007 for the first time. I remember you telling me just the buzz, and it's very obvious when you come in here. Just there's a constant buzz. There's just white noise of fans climbing in. It's not your home fans. There's a lot of neutral fans here in Oklahoma City that come just to enjoy this.
I think you could create it in your own head, though, as well. I mean, these fans didn't play the 55 games that you played in the regular season and in the postseason with you, and that's a long season, but this is in the fall what you were working for. This is in February what you set your goal as, was to make it right here to play for these fans.
Ball and 2 strikes on Herod. Down she goes. That's the first strikeout of the day for a very good strikeout pitcher in Chelsea Wilkinson.
You know, for a strikeout pitcher, I think to get your first strikeout also gives you just a little bit of relief, because if you're Chelsea Wilkinson, you're used to seeing a lot of swings and misses. Rise ball up and in, a nice location there for Wilkinson, spinning the ball.
Zoe Casas. These two teams didn't meet in the fall. And we asked, what do you guys really know about each other? And they did mention that they do play just about every year in fall ball. Again, it's only about a 275-mile drive from one campus to the other. But that was so long ago that neither team really felt like they could take a ton out of it, and understandably so.
Coach Alameda talked to us about how she actually worked with her team on breathing. I mean, that she really worked with their team at practice on remembering to breathe and just having a little bit of fun with it, so that they could get on this field and do just that, remember to breathe and have fun.
Left field line, long run for Emmanuel and DiCarlo. Stays 0-2. Lonnie Alameda, who was an excellent All-Big 8 player in her day at Oklahoma. Stanford assistant for 8 years. Then went to UNLV as their head coach, turned that program around, and has become the coach at Florida State, which has really put her stamp on the program. You think Florida State softball, you automatically think of Joanne Graff, who was there for 30 years and took this team to a handful of Women's College World Series and had a ton of success pre-NCAA as well. Lonnie Alameda has put her stamp on this program.
They're just known as a team that likes to have a lot of fun.
They're loose, yeah.
But they also know when to be professional and business-like and when to flip that switch.
I think that's Lonnie Alameda in a nutshell.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
2-2 to Casas. A roller towards second. You go to first. 2 down. Let's go to Laura Rutledge, because I think you're going to want to hear this, guys.
Guys, Lonnie Alameda, as you were talking about, so much fun, and she got this idea where she decided that she wanted to have a petting zoo down there for the girls to keep them loose, and they couldn't get an actual petting zoo going, so they had to just bring in these baby goats. They actually kept them in an office during part of the day as well, and the girls loved it. They said it kept them focused on what they should be focused on and made sure that they stayed loose. But the other thing, guys, those goats did have to go to the bathroom, so that was kind of the interesting part of the whole scenario.
They were in the office, right? That's where they...
I believe it was Travis Wilson's office, the assistant coach. 1-0 to Carson Gordon is a strike. I was actually planning on doing that for us, so Laura, if you want to come up to the booth in between games, we'll get the baby goats in here and turn this booth into a petting zoo. It's going to be great. You should join us.
Really transforms up here.
Yeah. Gordon pops it up. Hugo wants it. And now Chelsea Wilkinson is really starting to lock in. She's retired 7 in a row. Her offense, which has given her the lead through 4, is coming back up.
Just like magic, I'll be flying free. I'ma disappear when they come for me. I kick that ceiling, what you gonna say? No one can be just like me anyway. Just like
You're hearing Pink's Just Like Fire from the Walt Disney Studios film Alice Through the Looking Glass, in theaters now. We're in Oklahoma City now for Game 1 of the Women's College World Series. Florida State took the lead in the first on the Warren home run. A couple of errors in the Georgia second allowed the Bulldogs to score twice, and a couple of RBIs in the third from DiCarlo and Josefa to give the Georgia Bulldogs the lead in their third Women's College World Series trip. Courtney Emanuel will lead things off for the Dogs here in the top half of the fifth. Gonna flash the bunt, pulled it back, it took ball 2. This team made the World Series in 2009 and 2010. Very much power-based. And for a long time, half a decade or so, Georgia was known as a power-hitting team. Not necessarily the case anymore. Little roller towards short. Herod makes a nice play on that one. And there's one down here in the fifth.
Yeah, definitely a different look for them. I mean, known for hitting the long ball, and they can still do that. But I think that when you add a little bit of power, you make the defense, or excuse me, a little bit of speed, you make the defense think a little bit more. You can't get too comfortable out there in the infield, and also in the outfield, you're just constantly shifting around, knowing that they can present a little bit of speed and power.
There's DiCarlo. It was names like Elisa Goler, Kristen Sandberg, Taylor Schlopey, Megan Wiggins, part of those 2-year runs for Lou Harris-Champer's team to get here. But they have shifted their philosophy. They have recruited more speed. They still have that balance with their power in the middle of the lineup, including DiCarlo. But it's just a different look for Georgia this year than it was 6-7 years ago. Georgia off to a good start offensively here in this game. This is what they've been averaging in the postseason, about 4 runs per game. That's down from where they've been over the course of a long softball season, but they can still score with the best of them. Close pitch, but off the corner, and it's 3 balls and a strike from King to DiCarlo. Into our 3rd inning of relief here in the 5th.
King just continuing to work that outside corner to the more powerful right-handed hitters in the Georgia lineup. And again, she's making the adjustment of going a little bit more up in the zone. She started out just throwing her bread and butter, her drop ball, and a little bit of drop curve action to it.
Muscled into right, Gordon coming on, and there are 2 down. Tonight after the X Games from Austin, you can catch SportsCenter at night. Kevin Connors and Chris Hassel. And of course, Game 1 of the NBA Finals over on ABC from the Bay Area in California. Kevin and Chris will have highlights from that. Hudson Swafford had a 4-shot lead to start the Memorial earlier today. And some major aces going at it in Major League Baseball. Greinke, Keuchel, Julio Urias, the Dodgers in his 2nd start. All that SportsCenter at night on ESPN. Also streaming live on Watch ESPN and the ESPN app. Josefa has scored and has driven one in. Out of a 4-2 Bulldog lead. You see early in counts, King trying to get that outside corner against some of these right-handed hitters and not getting it. She's fallen behind DiCarlo and now Josefa 2-0.
Slight adjustment there to bring it in a little bit just to catch the outside corner.
That time got the strike. It's 2-2 on Tina Josefa. On the ground towards Herod and through. Tina Josefa stays hot. A couple of base hits back up the middle in her last 2 trips. And a 2-out single for the senior.
knowing that King was working on the outside corner, almost had a little bit of lean whenever she swung into the outside pitch that was a little bit lower in the zone. Again, that's where Georgia has had their success whenever they've gotten on base, is with pitches that are pitched down at the knees.
Here's Hugo. Again, right back to that outside corner to start a right-handed hitter, and she clips the corner, according to Leah Bowen. We go with that loose power swing. I mean, she looks like such a power hitter at the plate. Something that she adjusted a few years ago. Wasn't feeling comfortable. Wasn't feeling confident at the plate. Now all of a sudden has that loose bat waggle and the swagger at the plate. That's something that we've seen a lot the last couple of years.
Well, she said that she was just in the indoor facility and she was hitting off of a tee by herself, and she just kind of stumbled upon the way that she gets into her stance and has that kind of swag to her stance and the way that she moves her bat in her hands.
But she waves and misses, and frustrated goes back to the box. Another strikeout for Megan King, doing her part to try to keep the Noles in it. Through 4.5, it's a 4-2 Georgia lead.
Just continues to work the outside corner. Megan King does, to one of the best home run hitters in the country. Back-to-back strikeouts for Hugo's at bats off of King. Freshman wins the battle. Chelsea Wilkinson in the circle for the Georgia Bulldogs, working all parts of the zone, going up and in, low and in to left-handed hitters. Also trying to work their hands a little bit too on the inside corner to get some swings and misses, some ground outs, some flyouts. But her ability to mix all parts of the zone is why she was so effective against Florida in the Super Regionals, and why she's having more success here too after giving up 2 runs in the first inning.
In the first 3 batters, the 2-run Warren home run, and since then has settled it very nicely. Has retired the last 7 Seminoles, and she'll face 9-1-2 in the Florida State order here in the 5th. Alex Kosov showing bunt and taking ball 1. Florida State's offense has set its own school record, 441 runs this year. Have to score a ton of runs to get to 5-0 in the NCAA tournament. And they're still a really solid offensive team. They're trying to get on base and use some of their speed against Chelsea Wilkinson. We said it, the catchers this year for Georgia haven't been great overall. Brown has been better than Maeve McGuire at cutting down would-be base stealers, but we haven't seen Florida State get runners on and get in motion yet against Wilkinson.
I think that's just what you see in Oklahoma City, though, Adam. Teams get here, and even though they might be known for it, they just don't try to steal them. And I think that it's the extra pressure. It's the wanting to be able to use every single out that you have offensively to score some runs, but Florida State having at least 150 stolen bases on the year, and they're not the only ones who get here and just don't put their runners in motion.
2-2 on Kosov. Popped up 5. Top 10 of the country in on base, 5th in the country in steals, and with that mix, they've still put up better than 7 per game. The 2nd most stolen bases for a Florida State team in its program's history. To second for Hugo. 8 in a row retired, and for the first time today, we check in with Pam Ward and Sherry Kemp for the studio. Pam, Sherry, we'll check in with you in between this game and our next one, which will be Auburn and UCLA. 0-1 on Morgan Claveman, who bunts one. It made contact with her leg, it looked like. The throw to first is in time. It'll be an out anyway, and Leah Bowen was out in front of home plate. I thought I saw the ball tick off the leg of Cleveland there.
I don't know if it was leg or if it was just pure spin coming off of this bunt. It looked like it was going down the first baseline, and then it hits the ground and then makes a 90-degree turn.
Wow.
I mean, there's so much spin that Wilkinson is putting on these pitches, and she bunts it down and it changes direction.
Cooper stands in and takes a close pitch for a ball. From our vantage point, a little bit higher up, I mean, that you don't see spin like that unless it's kicked. I mean, that is how much, and that goes back to what you're saying, how much spin Chelsea Wilkinson puts on her pitches. Wow.
You just don't see this very often. It really looked like it was going to go down the first baseline, and then it's like, no, actually I'm going to go to Alyssa DiCarlo down the third baseline and give her some action.
That was a Massey shot in pool. I mean, that was incredible.
Maybe she should play pool.
Towards the gap left center, Courtney Emanuel got the beat on it. And Chelsea Wilkinson is locked and loaded right now as retired 10 in a row. Through 5, the Dogs have the lead. Every team feels like they have an inspiration, a heart, a soul, something that drives them when they get to the Women's College World Series. For Georgia, it's a softball player named Isabella Picard.
I'm doing well. I've been blessed enough just to be making such a remarkable recovery, and I do have a surgery coming up in a couple of weeks, but after that I'll continue to work towards my ultimate goal of playing again. I can't help but remind all you girls just to please enjoy the game and just please never take a step on that field for granted. Good luck, Georgia.
The first inning of a game for St. Joseph's last year in April against Fordham, Picard reached base. She took off for second base on a batted ball, and when she slid in towards second head first, her head collided with the knee of a defender for Fordham. First pitch to Maeve McGuire is in there for a strike to start the 6th inning. That left her partially paralyzed for a time being, and she has worked her way and has promised that she will continue to work to get back on the softball field, and she's been the inspiration for this Georgia team.
Yeah, and actually Chelsea Wilkinson and Maeve McGuire were actually the first to reach out to her, and they heard about her story and were really inspired by her because she just didn't get injured and was like, you know what, I think that I'm done. I'm going to quit playing softball. She's so motivated to get back out there and continues to work hard.
McGuire rolls one to first. Powers trying to make the play, and McGuire slips past her for an infield single.
And like you said, a huge motivation for their season, even at the beginning of the season, as McGuire is able to beat this one out, and Powers unable to handle it. Another defensive miscue here by Florida State.
Lonnie Alameda out to talk with Mike Bartling. Imagine maybe from her angle she thought that McGuire perhaps got in the way of Powers trying to make a play defensively on it. Alameda seems all right to hear the explanation, head back, and it's pretty good when the 1982 Heisman Trophy winner checks in and is watching the Women's College World Series. Herschel Walker tweeting at the Dogs, Laura Rutledge.
That's right. They've gotten plenty of support from famous Georgia alums, former quarterback Aaron Murray, current football head coach Kirby Smart, Mark Fox, gymnastics head coach Dana Durrani. But the thing that they said they really appreciated.
As Katie Brown puts down a bunt picked up by King, lead runner at second, off the bag. Harrod could not keep her foot on the bag. Everybody's safe.
Able to lay down the bunt, and King picks it up and throws it to her shortstop Harrod, which pulls her foot a little bit off with the bag, and McGuire going in hard sliding. Right there you see that her foot is detached from the base, doesn't get back down. That is a great look right there to be able to tell that she did not keep her foot on the base for the force out.
The previous play with McGuire was ruled an error. That's a sacrifice and an error as well. And now it's 5 Florida State defensive miscues. As we go back to Laura Rutledge.
That's right, Adam. So they're appreciating tweets, but this Georgia team also just had a meeting right before this inning with their hitters, and they were all saying, let's stay aggressive, let's stay in attack mode. Don't let up just because we have the lead.
This is what Georgia's trying to put away. They've had late inning struggles all season long. They've got the lead right now, trying to tack on here in the 6th inning. They've got 2 runners on base and nobody out for Lacey Summerlin. And a pinch hitter is going to come up, and it is Kaylee Puailoa for Summerlin. Moose, as she is known, and a big moment last week for her. The pinch hit, 2 strike, 2 out, 2-run walk-off home run in Game 2 against the Florida Gators to send Georgia to the Women's College World Series. Showing bunt, pulling back, and it's 2-0.
Well, I don't know if it was a shot heard around the world, but maybe the softball world. Off of Ocasio late in the game. I mean, you said it, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Florida had the lead, but Georgia had the last at bat. A walk-off shot for Puailoa.
There's a strike. Kaylee Puailoa is a veteran of 238 games and 222 starts. She has been a starter most of her college career and has taken a bench role and has performed well in it the second half of this year. And it takes a lot for somebody to do that. Lou Harris-Champer said that Kaylee might be the most selfless player that she's ever coached.
And she said she had been swinging it well, and it was really hard to keep her out of the lineup, but they were going with more of a defensive lineup, and they've tried to use her as a pinch hitter in as many positions as they possibly could.
Worked out pretty decently a week ago. This one snared by King. A low throw to third, dug out by Warren to get the lead runner. And there's 1 down here in the 6th inning.
The stretch by King was a nice one to steal a hit from Puailoa with the runner in scoring position and just kind of robs her. Of course, makes a flip turn to throw to Jessica Warren, who gives her the scoop just to help her out, or else that would have been another error right there.
Here's Lazier and pushes one foul. Thinking about what you were saying earlier about needing to breathe. I know it sounds maybe like something of a cliche or something like a weird athlete technique, but right now, when you've got speed at the bottom of the order for Georgia and you're a pitcher, you have to slow the game down. You've always said that about fast teams, teams that use their speed. You have to slow the game down against them.
And even if it means just taking a little bit more time in between pitches for Megan King in the circle, or having the catcher call a timeout, or just something to break the momentum, because again, you're right in the order with the speed. Lazier, Emmanuel coming up.
It's easy to lock in and slow down against a power hitter. You want to focus on every pitch. It's not as easy to do that against speed. This to second base. Cooper checked second base. No play there. She'll take the runner at first out. On to third goes Brown. On to second goes Puailoa. Lazier retired, and now it's up to Sydney Emmanuel with 2 in scoring position and 2 down.
And we talked to Sydney and Courtney Emmanuel about how they're different types of slappers in the box, and I think that they get paired so much together because they both are slappers, both have such high on-base percentages and averages. But Sydney is a slapper that likes to use a little bit more power, likes to put the ball in the gap, hit it over the outfielders' heads, and Courtney is more of the touch slapper. Maybe drag a little bit more, but a big situation right now for Sydney Emmanuel to find a gap with 2 runners in scoring position.
Trying to float one down the left field line and foul. Between Sydney and Courtney, they have 3 combined home runs, 1 at Georgia. That belongs to Sydney. 2 balls and a strike. Megan King trying to get out of a jam. A 2-run lead for Georgia in the 6th. 2-1 pitch is foul, and it's 2-2. Brown reached on a sacrifice and an error. Huailoa on a fielder's choice. Bulldogs are hitless in this inning. And they will remain as such. The inning is over. A couple of defensive miscues by Florida State, but King gets them out of it. A 4-2 Georgia lead, middle of the 6th here in game 1. Some of the sights of a 4-2 Georgia Bulldog lead here in game 1 of the Women's College World Series, presented by Capital One. Chelsea Wilkinson in the first 4 batters gave up 3 hits. Since then, 1 for their last 14 of the Florida State Seminoles against the right-hander out of North Carolina. But the heart of the order is up. Jessica Warren, who hit the 2-run home run back in the first inning, leads it off. And this is where Florida State has to make some hay with Warren, Powers, and Broderick.
It's a hay for the goats.
Yeah, for the goats. Exactly. Pun very much intended there, Amanda. 2 balls and no strikes on Warren.
Wilkinson really hasn't thrown her changeup much because of the way that Jessica Warren punished it in the first inning. The first time that she went to throw it, this was the hit that was off of it. And that was a home run, a 2-run shot off the bat of Jessica Warren, and really have not seen her go back to that flip change ever since.
This is her first 3-0 count of the day. That's a 4-pitch walk to Warren, who she's seemingly been very careful with since that first inning homer. That's the first walk issued by Wilkinson here in game 1.
It was really nowhere close to the zone here in that at bat.
So 1 on. The tying run at the plate in Alex Powers, the ACC Player of the Year. First pitch swing again, it's foul. Alex Powers had 1 at-bat in 2014 in the Women's College World Series. She struck out against Sheridan Hawkins in a 3-0 loss to Oregon. Florida State came back in an elimination game and lost 7-2 against Baylor 2 years ago. They haven't had a win in the Women's College World Series since 2004. Before Lonnie Alameda's time. That was a win against Washington in May of '04.
You know, the adversity that Alex Powers has been through in her career is pretty remarkable.
Yep.
Torn both of her ACLs, and she actually tore them within 10 months of each other. And she had to rehab. She had to totally change the way that she ran, and she actually felt like it made her more confident in how she runs and her speed and her agility. She got her movement back.
She sends one to left. Emmanuel back at the wall. Tie game! First home run for Powers in the NCAA tournament comes at a huge moment to tie the game in the 6th.
Can't feel any better for a player other than Alex Powers. We were just talking about the fact that she had 2 ACL tears, been through so much adversity, but she steps up in this moment, in this time, on this field, off of Chelsea Wilkinson for a 2-run bomb to tie up this game.
Powers, that 1 at bat in 2014 in the World Series frustrated her a lot, that strikeout. She wanted to come back this season. The multiple knee surgeries before freshman year, had a redshirt in 2013, never really got to the point where she knew she was capable of her best until this season. Wins ACC Player of the Year and gets a curtain call from the Noles fans.
How much sweeter does it make it that they basically intentionally walked Jessica Warren to get to Powers, and then she hits the bomb?
Here's Broderick. There's a strike. You said this is the inning that Florida State, it felt like, had to make up the ground because they had the best power hitters in their lineup coming up in Warren and Powers. Sure enough, they come up clutch. Good movement on that pitch for a strike. Inning struggles this year for the Georgia Bulldogs were very apparent all season long. Ripped towards right, past the diving Hugo into right field, and Broderick is aboard. Still nobody out here in the 6th inning.
The home run that Alex Powers hit was off of a rise ball, and she had 2 strikes, but you know that a pitcher like Wilkinson is going to try to use her rise ball late in the count. That's exactly what she tried to do. But again, against Broderick, trying to go up in the zone, but these Florida State hitters are making the adjustment to hit that pitch almost in identical location. From Powers hit and then to Broderick's hit.
So a single for Broderick, a pinch runner comes in for her in Karina Rosario at first base. Sophomore out of Pensacola. Here's Callie Herod, 0 for 2. Pushes the bunt. DiCarlo has a chance at second and will get the lead runner in Rosario. Good play by DiCarlo, and there's one down.
New Harris Champer just raves about Alyssa DiCarlo on defense, playing the hot corner, and how quick she is at reacting to a bunt. And you got to be quick if you want to get the force out at second base on a bunt, and that's what Alyssa DiCarlo does. And throws a little bit more of a sidearm throw to second base. It's a quick release right there for the third baseman.
Here's Casas. Go for ball 1. For 2 so far today is Casas. Wilkinson has allowed 4 runs on a pair of 2-run home runs to Warren and Powers. Into right field for Sydney Emanuel. Navigates well to make the catch. And there are 2 down. We've seen this a lot with Georgia, and obviously it's a tie game. It's not in any danger just yet, but 14 of their 18 losses were by 3 runs or less this year. In 9 of those 14 losses, they gave up the go-ahead run in the 6th inning or later. Chelsea Wilkinson and the Bulldogs pitching staff suffered 3 walk-off losses as well. A couple to South Carolina and 1 against Casey Cooper and Auburn. There's Gordon, and she takes 1 down and in.
Well, I'm not going to lie, after seeing Georgia play this season and then seeing their super regional against Florida, I thought in game 1, I just had a feeling that maybe Florida was going to come back because of the late inning struggles that Georgia has had in the games. They're able to fight through, and that's because Wilkinson has actually changed her mindset.
Runner goes, throw by Brown. Hugo the tag, not in time. Herod with her 25th stolen base of the season, and the go-ahead run is in scoring position.
Finally, we get to see Florida State put a runner in motion here against Katie Brown and Chelsea Wilkinson. Good release right there by Brown and a tag by Hugo, but Herod using her speed to get into scoring position.
Now big opportunity for the bottom of the order here. And a 3-0 count on the number 8 hitter, Carson Gordon. And a 4-pitch walk to the number 8 hitter. 2 on, 2 out here in the 6th inning. Chelsea Wilkinson, for her, it the mindset you were talking about. It's not about innings now. It's about outs, the countdown to getting the outs that she needs to win games.
Yeah, she said that she actually changed that in the postseason. The thoughts that were running through her mind, not I'm in the 6th inning, I'm in the 7th inning in terms of the time of the game, but she has now changed it to how many outs that she's had left. I have 9 outs left in the game. I have 6 outs left in the game. In the situation, it would be I have 4 outs left in the game. It really seemed to help her in the postseason, starting in regionals and then working its way into super regionals. Just different thoughts going on in her head. Her dad actually helped her with that mindset.
Victoria East will pinch it for Kossoff in the 9 spot here in the 6th inning. And the senior from Pensacola with a big opportunity to give the Seminoles the lead. 4-4 game. Ball 1 upstairs. A career low batting average this year, up around 240, but a near 300 lifetime hitter at Florida State. Pops it up foul, and it's 1-1. Up. Summerlin's there, but this game is tied to the 7th. Warren and Powers, the 2 best home run hitters in this lineup, team up. A 4-pitch walk to Warren brings the tying run to the plate, and the ACC Player of the Year, battling back from injury, battling through game 1, ties the game at 4 as we head to the final innings. A tie game, and the home run ball has been big for Florida State. A 2-run Warren shot in the 1st, a Powers blast in the 6th to tie this game up at 4 apiece. Both teams at 6 hits. Florida State with a season-high 5 errors in this game as well. A couple of unearned runs have come across against this Florida State pitching staff. But to the 7th, Megan King will stay in, and Alex Powers with the big blast in the 6th inning to knot this game up. Courtney Emanuel, Alyssa DiCarlo, Tina Josefa due up for Georgia here in the top of the 7th. Speed and then power. Adam Amin, 2-time All-American Amanda Scarborough, Laura Rutledge, our great crew to open up the Women's College World Series here in Oklahoma City. UCLA and Auburn still to follow, and a great bracket on the backside tonight as well. We'll see Oklahoma, Alabama, a rematch of last year's Super Regional, and Michigan, LSU, a rematch of a semifinal last year. Our UCLA Auburn match is a rematch of an elimination game in the World Series a season ago as well. On the ground, too short, bounces into Herod, and she'll have no play. And the go-ahead run is on in the 7th for Georgia, and Courtney Emanuel, a good base stealer in her own right. And the miscues keep racking up for Florida State.
Hit right at her. Coming to the freshman of Herod right there at shortstop, and it's been that in-between hop that she just has not been able to handle. We've seen this a couple of times, lifting her head even up a little bit on that play. It's going to be an error.
The 6th of the game, by far a season high for Florida State. And here is DiCarlo. So no sacrifice situation, at least to show. No bunt shown that time by DiCarlo. You're getting into the meat of your order if you're Lou Harris-Champer. Josefa on deck. There's a strike, and it's 1-1. Claveman's committed 1, Warren's committed 1, Herod's committed 2, Broderick has 1, the pitcher Megan King has 1 as well. Amanda said it, sometimes when you get to this stage, you start to see some uncharacteristic things start to go down.
Courtney Emanuel actually was running 2 on that pitch, trying to move her into scoring position without sacrificing the at-bat of Alyssa DiCarlo, who's up at the plate. Just that swing mentality with DiCarlo there. That's a bunt situation.
There's the changeup, runner goes, throw down to second is into center, and a late break by Manuel. Cleveland has trouble with the ball, and on to third goes the go-ahead run for Georgia.
And that was a perfect pitch to steal on because of the fact that it was a changeup from Megan King, low in the zone, hard for Broderick to handle. Second baseman Cooper is covering, can't even knock that one down, but Claveman, another bobble out there in center field, allows Emmanuel to move to third base.
2-2 to DiCarlo. On the ground, Emmanuel stays, now she takes off, out at first, throw home, not in time! Georgia takes the lead!
Courtney Emmanuel at third base, got off the bag a little bit, but not too much. Hara just gives her just a little bit of a look when she would have had more time to look her back to third base, with DiCarlo running to first, but nothing but speed out of Courtney Emmanuel to force that go-ahead run.
Josefa fouls it away. Big RBI from DiCarlo. Courtney Emmanuel, a tough slide into home. Get checked on momentarily there. She hustled her way to give Georgia the lead. 1-2 on Josefa.
Speed created that run. It forced the error that got her on base. She stole a base, another error out there to move her to third base, and then just pure speed to make her way home.
Josefa goes down swinging, 2 away. And this was Emmanuel sliding in. A hard play at home with Broderick trying to apply the tag.
I'm trying to see if maybe there was something that she hurt. You can tell that something's going on in the dugout with her.
Hugo takes ball 1.
Pretty clean though. I mean, she went in hard, so there's going to be a little bit of pain when you run into a catcher. But hopefully she just got a little banged up, but she's okay.
Going into maybe the shin guards or something like that. Yeah. Your bare leg going into a protected leg of the catcher. And there's going to be some pain afterwards.
So you have to give a lot of credit to Megan King out there in the circle and the way that she's come in relief of Jessica Burrows. She's done a really nice job, and it goes unnoticed because Florida State's kicking the ball a little bit, getting the ball around a little bit on defense. 7 errors by Florida State ties the Women's College World Series record for most in a game. Pretty much the most dubious record you can have as a ball club. 5-4 Georgia. 1-1 from King. It's fought off foul by Alex Hugo. Was fanned twice today, reached on an error and scored back in the second. Chelsea Wilkinson trying to get the last 3 outs now. I told you about the late inning struggles. Wilkinson has battled through that, getting through the 6th inning, the 7th inning in Game 1 against Florida, doing it again in Game 2 last week, trying to change the mentality here in the NCAA tournament. It's going to be up to her. Three and 2 on Alex Hugo. Good at bat worked. That's an insurance run on base for Georgia with 2 outs in the 7th. There's McGuire. Sac fly in the 2nd, strikeout and an error as well to allow her to reach. On the ground at first. Powers tied the game in the 6th.
Courtney Emanuel scores the go-ahead run after more Florida State defensive miscues to give him the lead, and it's up to the senior. This is the moment she's been waiting for, to pitch in Oklahoma City. Her team is 3 outs away from a Game 1 win. 7th inning, Georgia using its speed and forcing the defense into some errors to manufacture the go-ahead run.
Yeah, and it was just the Emanuel's speed to make her way around the base pass, and another error right there to make her way to third to set up this ground ball, which just seemed like an easy out, but then she took off for home and scored the go-ahead run. Speed totally manufactured that run for Georgia.
And now, with a 1-run lead, it's up to Wilkinson. Bit of a shaky start, trying to settle into her first Women's College World Series. Rock solid in the middle. Gave up the 2-run home run in the 6th, but her team has given her the lead. The top of the Florida State order trying to rally. And Claveman takes strike 1 to start the 7th. Infield in against the speedster. 1-1. One and two.
Just like Courtney Emanuel got on, you need your speed to get on right here just to set the table to make this comeback here in the bottom of the 7th.
Again, Warren will bat in this inning. Powers if anybody gets on base. 1 and 2. 2 and 2. On the infield, Summerlin gets the out, 1 down.
It's how you handle the ball right there, Lacey Summerlin, especially knowing the importance of the leadoff out and just making a play.
One down for Ellie Cooper. New Zealand-born, Missouri-bred. Daughter of a fast pitch player. Captain of the New Zealand national team. She's the tying run. She sends one to center. Lazier's there. 2 away.
It's so important for those quick 2 outs.
Yeah.
Because now, Jessica Warren coming up, even if she does happen to hit another home run, it just ties the game. It doesn't win it.
And Rachel Fico is going to go out to talk with Chelsea Wilkinson here as Warren will come to the plate. This was the changeup that you talked about in the first.
Yeah, she was sitting on something off speed, and Chelsea Wilkinson will throw a lot of off speed, especially with her rise ball about 58, 60 miles an hour, but she gets a changeup even a little bit slower than that 58, 60 mark, and it's the first pitch of the at-bat, and she's sending it out of here.
Rachel Fico back to the dugout. Imagine saying something along those lines, Amanda. Hey, you've got a 1-run lead. Don't be afraid to go after Warren. You don't want to bring the winning run to the plate, put the tying run on base. 2 away in the 7th. And ball 1 to Warren. Through a 4-pitch walk, her last trip to the plate. One and one. Brown tried to frame it. 2 balls and a strike. Jam shot off the glove of Wilkinson. Hugo flips in time! And the Georgia Bulldogs come away with the opening win of the Women's College World Series. A back and forth opener to start off this Women's College World Series, and Chelsea Wilkinson gets the final outs and the last on the good old 1-4-3 glove flip put out to end the ball game.
You know that a player like Alex Hugo is not going to stay quiet for long, whether it's offensively or defensively. Just kind of the exclamation mark for Georgia for her to make that last play, and came at a huge time too, because last thing that you wanted was for Jessica Warren to come up and give some momentum to Florida State, but Hugo just shutting it down here late in the game.
A back and forth game. Florida State led 2-0. Georgia scored the next 4. Another Florida State home run in the 6th to tie it at 4. The Bulldogs score in the 7th and take the opener of the Women's College World Series by a 5-4 final.
This was a really big game for Chelsea Wilkinson in the circle to feel what it feels like to throw in Oklahoma City for the first time and get the win. And it wasn't perfect. It wasn't necessarily the prettiest game that she's pitched all year, but she got the W. Her team fought back behind her, and she stayed resilient in the circle.
First trip to the Women's College World Series in 6 years for the Bulldogs, and they come away with a win. What a way to start it up here in Oklahoma City. We've got game 2 coming up in about a half hour between UCLA and Auburn, but Chelsea Wilkinson, the big hug after the 5-4 complete game win. We'll be back in about a half an hour, but for now, back to the studios.